Hey everybody, welcome back to History Student Reacts. Today we'll be watching Rome Season 2, Episode 2, Son of Hades. Now last time we got to see the aftermath of Caesar's assassination, the political turmoil, and the negotiations between Caesar's faction, largely led by Mark Antony, though Octavian already was playing an important role, and the conspirators, largely led by Brutus and Cassius. Now, they sort of went back and forth throughout the episode, but by the end, Antony actually had the upper hand. We got some more personal drama, the aftermath of Niobe's death, how Vorenus was handling it, the abduction and potential killing of his family, I don't know whether to believe it or not, and Pullo returning to sort of take care of his friend. So we have got a lot of both political and personal drama going on. I'm excited to continue. Before I do, I gotta say, if you're watching on YouTube, you can watch the full unedited version of these episodes early on Patreon. I can't upload them to YouTube due to copyright, and so the Patreon is linked down below. And if you are watching on Patreon, thank you so much for all of the support. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's jump right into this reaction.
You talked to him.
I said I would, and I will.
I cannot stay here forever. It's not right. This place is a house of death.
I know.
But if we make a baby here, God forbid, it will be a monster.
Said I'd talk to him.
Oh, come on, man. Pullo's trying to stick by his friend. Oh, God.
Oh, hey, brother. Good day out. Good day for a walk in the country, maybe.
God, this is depressing. I mean, we've seen, Vorenus. This is a guy who's really has been kept going by his family, early into season 1 we saw, even when he was away for years, he was always thinking about Niobe, always thinking about his family, and now he's seemingly lost everyone. I mean, he's lost Niobe, apparently he's lost the rest of his family. Once again, I don't know if that's true, maybe I'm just coping, I don't know. So this is really, this is a man who's lost everything, at least sort of everything that mattered to him.
Spring's here. Blossom on the trees, lambs in the meadows. Brother, the full moon has come and gone. Maybe it's time to cut off these mourning beards, eh? Life must continue.
You're right. You should go.
Leave you here like this? Good friend I'd be.
Past need of friends.
And what's that mean? What are you going to do? You can't just sit here for the rest of your life.
I've caused the death of my wife. I've caused the death of my children. I have caused the death of Caesar. What would you have me do now? Huh? What? Run a butcher's shop?
Fine. Fine. Sorry I spoke. Eat your damn porridge.
Okay, look, man, Vorenus, there's a little bit of responsibility, especially in the death of Niobe. And I guess Caesar. Look, there's a bit of responsibility spread around, but you can't blame yourself for all of those things. There were, in the death of Caesar, and frankly, those other deaths, much larger forces at play. So I get it. He's blaming himself. And like I said, there's part of that, that he does bear a bit of responsibility, but he can't take all this on his shoulders, though obviously I understand why he would.
Antony. A word, if I may.
What is it, dear boy?
About my money. Caesar's money. You assured me I'd have it by now.
I'm so sorry it slipped my mind. I will see to it.
Good, only that is what you've said several times now.
These things take time, eh?
So we are depicting some of the burgeoning conflict between Octavian and Antony. And I will note, in the actual history, Antony very much took the lead in the aftermath of Caesar's assassination. Octavian had to make his way back to the city. They've sort of integrated him a little bit more into the story here, which I think is fair enough. You know, he's a main character, they want to have him continually throughout, but these two will have a complicated relationship. They will butt heads frequently, they will also work together, sometimes at the same time. They'll be working together and butting heads. So, but, you know, this gets at the truth of it, which is both of these men, Octavian's young, but both of these men are fighting essentially to inherit Caesar's legacy. Part of that legacy is the money, an important part, but there's more to it than that, right? Antony is Caesar's sort of right-hand man, Caesar's main soldier, you know, someone who was in a good place to take over immediately after Caesar died. He wants to, you know, quickly take over, assert himself as the new leader, the new big man in town. Octavian, as a direct relative of Caesar's, as, you know, Caesar had posthumously adopted him as his son, as the main inheritor of Caesar's will. You know, he wants to cement himself as the inheritor of Caesar's political legacy. You know, he is the one to step in Caesar's footsteps. So, there's going to be a lot of tension between these two.
We are talking vast sums of money. It's a great deal of paperwork and lawyering to be done.
So when can I expect transfer to my control?
What's the rush? Some wicked woman giving you the squeeze, eh? Don't worry. I'll see to it.
Uh-huh.
Tolerable voyage?
It was.
Myself, I cannot abide ships and boats. Too much like cages, eh? With the added risk of drowning. You've changed since we last met.
Have I seen you before?
Yes. In Alexandria, with Caesar.
It's those uniforms you wear. You all look alike.
When I saw you then, you seemed happier. Something wrong?
Strange question. Caesar is dead. He was as a husband to me. I was as a wife to him. I amuse you.
Now, of course, you know, her and Caesar had Caesarion together. And now this show gives us a little wink and a nod. Oh, is it really his son? Whatever. That was the sort of recognized child of Caesar and Cleopatra. Maybe not super accepted in Roman society, but that still meant something, right? A child of Julius Caesar, though as we saw, in his will, Caesar left it all to Octavian, and so Caesarion presents a threat as Caesar's child, and Cleopatra's child, a threat to Octavian. They're jousting for the same position, the son of Caesar, and of course to Antony, although Cleopatra presents more of the threat in this instance. And it wasn't necessarily that Cleopatra came over in the aftermath of Caesar's death. If I remember correctly, she was already hanging about Rome, and so she was sort of present in that aftermath and did play a role, though in fairly short order she would leave, return to Egypt. But Cleopatra absolutely was a player in all of these affairs. You know, she was a powerful queen of a still relevant kingdom, Egypt, even though it was sort of under Roman control to a certain extent. They still had autonomy, but you know, Rome was the big dog. She still had that influence as someone who was close to Caesar and someone who, of course, had a child with Caesar. She had influence in all these different ways.
One more thing. My son by Caesar is near 4 years
Here we
old.
go.
He's begun to ask questions about his father.
How touching.
He's too young to understand now, but soon I must tell him that his father's people do not accept him. Not as a true legal son.
It will never happen. The people wouldn't like it.
We have no political design.
Yeah, right. So, you can see what's happening here. Cleopatra wants to increase her influence by having Caesarion recognized Antony, in this moment, that's not to his benefit, right? Antony does not yet have an alliance with Cleopatra. Antony has his own affairs to worry about. Caesarion and Cleopatra are a challenge to his authority. And Antony points out, frankly, predicts something that will actually be a problem for him, but will be a problem for Cleopatra in the future, which is the Romans. They're not big fans of all this Egyptian involvement in Roman politics. The Romans are proud. They like things to be Roman. And so, of course, when Antony says, oh, the people won't have it, he's using it as an excuse. But he's actually right on that, largely right.
Nearly the happiness of my boy. A simple, public declaration of paternity would suffice.
And what would I profit by that?
You would have my eternal gratitude. That's possible. Declare my boy a lawful son of Caesar, and we shall be friends.
You don't trust me?
Not so much. You have a changeable look about you.
You're mistaken. Steady as a priest of Saturn, me. Come now.
It is not permitted to touch.
Nice manners. For a whore.
If I must prostitute myself for the good of my country and my family, I will. The customer pays first, does he not?
Your son will eat shit and die before I make him legal.
You see, very changeable. I'm sorry we couldn't agree. Perhaps you'll change your mind. We'll see you at dinner tomorrow, I believe.
He wasn't Apollo, by no means, but when Erastes Fulman was alive, there was peace on the Aventine.
This thing, we've got basically a mob boss. Kind of a bad guy. But what happens when you kill the local mob boss? A power vacuum emerges. And things can fall into chaos. Though, you know, perhaps this gentleman here is more representing the moneyed interests of the area. I don't know. It may be better or worse without Erastus Fulman. He was a real piece of work. We've seen that. A bad guy. But a power vacuum does open up, and someone or something needs to fill that.
Now, every gang in the city is fighting for control of the hill. Every day there's violence. Every day there's hoo-ha. It's killing commerce.
I will see to it.
And is not commerce the root of civic virtue?
Oh.
Can Rome long survive if commerce is...
You may go.
See, and we've seen this before, right? When Caesar left, I believe it was, what was it, for Greece, maybe? Or Egypt, or I don't remember. But when Caesar left and Mark Antony was left to rule the city, he led with a bit of an iron fist. Mark Antony does not have the patience for these kind of things that Caesar does. Caesar, and it's funny to say because Caesar in the end was killed for being a tyrant, but he did have a bit more of a soft touch than Antony did. He knew how to schmooze. He knew who to pay off. And as I think we might see throughout this series, Octavian has those skills even more so. And Antony has them less so. So Antony, he's even more direct. He really doesn't want to deal with any of these shenanigans.
Something must be done on the Aventine.
Yes, I know. I hear of nothing else.
The gangs will not stop fighting of their own accord. It is too rich a prize. Whoever controls the Aventine controls the docks and the grain supply.
I am aware.
The violence will spread if it is not stopped. The whole city will swiftly...
All right,
sink into
Cicero.
chaos and famine, and you will be blamed, I'm afraid. Though it be none of your fault, of course. Still.
I will have.
I love Cicero. Classic Cicero. If this happens, you'll be blamed, though it's not your fault, of course. You know, always trying to play the middleman.
Handle it. Now, what can I do for you?
You sent for me.
Oh, yes, that. Show him.
It appears to be a list of every dishonest rascal in the city.
Very droll. It is a list of candidates for next year's elections drawn up by our beloved Caesar just before he was taken from us. Oscar found it amongst his papers.
Oh, another lucky find. You are prodigious, Oscar.
I want your endorsement of the names. For the sake of unity and amity, etc.
Isn't that being just a little too brazen? Who will believe that Caesar chose such wretches?
Surely you don't think those men paid me to put their names on the list?
Not at all. I expect they're paid, Posca.
So, what's the problem?
My endorsement will be worthless. People will merely assume I've been intimidated by you.
Are you not intimidated?
Not especially. At present, you cannot afford to kill me. You need me to run the Senate.
Today, I need you. Tomorrow?
Then tomorrow I will worry.
Interesting. So, once again, we are seeing that very direct style with Antony. Caesar, you know, with Caesar, everything was always veiled. Now, maybe everyone sort of knew it was a farce. In fact, everybody did, right? Everyone knew he was an authoritarian. Everyone knew he was pulling the strings. But with Antony, there's no separation. It's clear, and he's clear, what's going on. Now, with Cicero, we essentially get a representative of the Roman Senate. That's often how he's portrayed in actual history, and I think that's how he's being portrayed in this show, at least at the moment. And we're seeing some of that tension between Antony and the Senate. Antony essentially wants to run things as a dictator, as a tyrant, but his position is not secure enough, right? He's not in that type of situation. I mean, even Caesar wasn't in the end. He needs to work with the Senate to a certain extent, and if he decides not to, he's gonna, and in actual history he did, have trouble on his hands. So we're seeing some of the negotiations here where Cicero is kind of like, you want to co-opt me, but I still have a degree of authority here, right? So Antony, he can't afford to run over everything in his path, and if he chooses to, it's going to be an issue.
Today, I suggest you let me strike the worst scoundrels off this list, then I will endorse it.
Fine, fine. Do as you like.
A pleasure as always.
Next, there is a delegation.
No, enough of this. Call my guard.
Immediately, before you go, if I might raise the matter of my recompense and commission.
No, you might not, you wretched Greek thief. Money, money, money. I'm surrounded by money grubbers.
Well, think of who you are, of course you are.
Mark Antony, sir. It's me, sir. Titus Pullo of the 13th. Legionary Pullo? Oh, let him through. Sir, what are you doing here? Requiring advice and counsel regarding Lucius Vorenus, sir. Go on. He's gone awry, sir. I don't know what's to be done with him.
Interesting
Vorenus.
man to go to.
Officers afoot.
Centurion Vorenus.
I'm fascinated that Pullo decided to bring Mark Antony here. You know, Antony and Vorenus have had a strange relationship, to put it lightly. So this is a curious decision.
As was.
Sir.
Look at the fucking state of you.
It's morning dress, sir. It's
Mourning. You may well mourn. Caesar is dead, and it was you as good as held the knife. Stand to fucking attention when I'm talking to you! You know that your name is disgraced forever.
I do, sir.
I do, sir. Why then are you still alive? Why
Why have you not done your damn duty and opened your stomach?
See, we know that's not gonna happen because Pillow and Vorenus have absolute plot armor. These two will not only survive, but they will end up in the middle of every important political event that happens.
Like that above all things, sir. But this is my master. He will take me when he chooses. At present, he wishes me to suffer here on this earth.
You are wrong, Centurion. This is not your master. I am your master. By sacred oath under the standards of the 13th.
Sir.
This, I take it, was Erastes Fullman.
I told him to get rid, but it calms him to look at the thing.
Not content to let our great father die, you start a damn war on the Aventine that threatens to engulf the whole fucking city. Would you like a chance to redeem yourself, Centurion?
Always another opportunity.
There's no redemption.
No man is beyond redemption, Lucius. Not even you.
I thought there was a good chance. Well, of course, like I said, plot armor. I know they are going to survive, but I thought there was a good chance Mark Antony would kill him right there. You know, like I said, Antony can be led by his anger. I frankly think he might have just stabbed him through the stomach. But I guess he realized that he's more useful alive. What are you getting up to? I'm really curious to see Octavian begin to assert himself as an important political player in this season. Because I think he's a fascinating character, both in this show and, of course, in, you know, the real history. So I'm excited to see some of that.
Juno's mercy, what's she doing here?
I suppose Antony wants a show of unity.
Awkward.
Egyptians.
Servilia, my love. It's good of you to come.
I'm here under protest at Mark Antony's insistence.
Oh, he's a terrible bully, isn't he? You must be very scared.
Not in the slightest.
Well, you need have no fear of me. I wish you no harm, truly.
Uh-huh.
It's enough for me to know that I have won and you've been humbled. We both suffered enough,
You're
nay?
mocking me, I believe.
Not at all. I'm offering you friendship and reconciliation. What'd you say? Should we be friends again?
These two women absolutely hate each other. I don't know if hate is a strong enough word. They despise each other.
I cannot honorably refuse.
So happy. Kiss me, my dear.
Good public showing, I suppose.
Enjoy the party. Did you see the look on her face? Priceless.
Uh-huh.
I saw Timon and some of his men in the yard. Knife and hatchet men.
So,
I was wondering what they're doing here.
Security? What else?
The obvious purpose would be the abduction and killing of Servilia as she leaves this evening.
That's absurd.
It's a truce. Ratified by priests. You can't harm her.
Truce, priests. You think that bitch cares?
Mother, there is more at stake here than your desire for vengeance. The political situation is extremely delicate. Her death would throw the Republic into uproar.
I don't care.
You're being childish. Does Antony know of this?
Of course he does. All right, he doesn't, obviously, and don't...
That's great. I love that. Atia, we said this before. I mean, look, everyone, I think, is driven by their emotions, some more than others. Atia, she can be a competent political maneuverer, right? We've seen that, but she is someone who is quite full of herself and is often out for vengeance. Versus Octavian, her son, who is pretty coldly logical. He is absolutely right in this instance. The Republic, whatever that means at this point, is in a delicate situation. Caesar's been assassinated. There's a very delicate alliance, unity, between the conspirators and Caesar's former allies, and that could fall apart very quickly. Like I said, this is an era when everything is very fluid and shifting, and of course, if we know the history, it will fall apart quickly. But this is delicate.
Don't you dare tell him.
I'm sorry, Mother.
Bastard.
Oh, I love that. Antony, what are you doing?
I won't be needing you. You can go now.
Oh, Timon.
Where is your damned Egyptian? It's time to serve dinner. I have a good mind to cancel the whole damn thing.
Oh, don't sulk. You know you're in the wrong.
Antony, try thinking with your head for once.
Just as you described her. Quite the little mouse.
And what I mean is try thinking with your head and not your meat.
Cleopatra, mistress of Sedge and Bee, queen of both upper and lower kingdom.
Please. We shall be informal. We shall act as if we were all equals. It's much more fun that way, don't you think?
What does that mean?
Now, who are all these lovely people?
It's funny because I think what she's implying is I am royalty and you are all not, so I'll bring myself down to your level. But, of course, what the Romans are thinking is we are Romans and you are Egyptian, so we will bring ourselves down to your level. It's funny. Now, of course, the actual power differential, there's the individual relationship, but the geopolitical situation is, Rome is the big player in this relationship. They are the senior partner. And so even though she is queen of a much lesser kingdom. Rome is the one with the power, but she still has authority. And as we've pointed out, she has this connection to Rome, Caesar and Caesarion. Not to mention, I reckon in the interpersonal department, she's got an advantage over Antony.
People.
Hostess. Atia of the Julii.
Atia.
Your Highness.
Nice. Just as you said. Come here, boy.
Oh.
This is my darling Caesarion.
Wow.
Does he not look exactly like his noble father?
Uncanny.
Looks nothing like him.
I love it.
Shall we eat?
Frankly, the second those two met, Antony and Cleopatra, even though they didn't get along, you could tell where this was going. I think even if you don't know the history. Ah.
You're back. I thought you'd be late.
You're right.
You'll never guess.
Tevye!
Levi,
Release me now, children. Let me hug your father.
why are you here?
So happy to see your brother.
You gave me a start, that's all. I'm very happy to see you. You should have written.
Oh, are we getting some Timon backstory? Well, I never thought this would happen.
Oh, forgive me. I caught a ship on the tide's turn. Here I am. Look at you. How long's it been? 8 years?
9. What brings you here?
My partners and I are setting up a new business. I'm to run the office here.
You'll be staying a while then.
If you'll have me.
Of course. Our house is your house.
Why haven't you made him dinner?
No, that's all right. I'm not hungry.
You're not kosher.
Already we're not good enough, eh? We'll have some wine at least.
Now you're talking.
So you're selling spices?
Spices, cloth, oil. Thank you.
Goes well, I hope.
Up, down, up, down. It goes. And you? Vora tells me you're doing very well.
Up, down.
Horses?
Horses. So tell me the truth now. Why are you here?
I told you, I'm just setting up a new business.
You hate Rome. You hate Romans. How many times did you tell me what scum they are? Vile oppressors, Babylonian whores. And now you come to live amongst them. I don't think so.
Business is business. This is where the money is. Things were getting a little hot for me in Jerusalem. Better I leave for a while.
Things? What things?
Politics.
Ooh.
Nothing serious. Maybe I spoke a little too freely.
Oh, brother.
How is a man to stay silent? Our so-called leaders lick the boots of Roman soldiers. The Pharisees are shameless.
Listen to me. You're in Rome now. You're in my house. I've got a wife and children to think of. You keep that cat to yourself. Do you hear me?
I hear you.
Oh my.
Right then.
We're getting some more of the politics beyond the city of Rome. I mean, Rome, the Republic, the Empire, it's not officially the Empire yet, but it is an empire, is a Mediterranean-spanning power. Whether it directly controls a territory or not, it has a lot of influence, and we've got a lot of empire-wide politics or geopolitics happening. I'm curious to see some more of this stuff, you know, beyond the extent of the city of Rome itself, because it's fascinating.
Man of the Collegia, under the auspices of Mother Concord, a sanctified truce is declared. Violence shall cease until the waxing of the moon. At the 6th hour, all captains are summoned to attend a parley at the Aventine Collegium.
Oh, he's shaving. Back to the Vorenus we recognize, perhaps.
Fuck's all this then?
Don't know.
Who called a parley?
Nobody knows.
The priest must know.
You can't talk to a priest of Concord.
Why not?
Because you can't, you fucking savage. Foreigners.
Wonder where he's from. Gallic, maybe? Somewhere else? And we definitely see some non-Romans. I think some Gauls in the crowd there. I always love how this city, or how this show, depicts the city of Rome, right? It was a very cosmopolitan place. I think oftentimes when we look back on Rome, the city, not just the empire, but the city itself, you know, we have this very sterile marble statue type view. And of course, this is sort of before that era. But that is how a lot of people think of the entirety of Roman history. It's a vast oversimplification because, first of all, like I said, that depicts a sort of specific era, but also that sort of sanitized marble, you know, that is something that we have very much projected back onto them. They were parts of that. But what we're seeing is a cosmopolitan city with real people living in it from a lot of different places with messy relationships and politics. And, you know, we're not seeing perhaps the city we might imagine. We're seeing a very complex cosmopolitan place. And I really appreciate that they've gone with this, I think, more accurate depiction. You know, it makes things more true to history, and I think it makes things a lot more interesting as well, because I love to see these different dynamics within the Roman Empire. You know, the different religions at play, the different ethnic groups at play, all the different factions. I think it's fascinating.
Consul Mark Antony declares your contest for control of the Aventine is finished. All violence will cease.
He can declare what he likes. It doesn't make it so.
As killer of Erastus Fulman, I claim his captaincy of the Aventine Collegium as my rightful spoil.
Oh.
The Aventine is now mine.
You can't do that.
Yet here I am.
You can have this old rat's nest if you like, but you've got no men. They're all dead. All run away.
Oh, fine men. Rome has no shortage of criminal scum. Maybe I'll take some of yours.
Brothers, remember the lady. We all know of you, Lucius Vorenus. We know you're a man of gravity, and we're duly respectful. You would do well to return that respect.
I can't do that, but I can give you coin instead. Once order is restored, all collegia will receive a...
Very interesting. So, we're seeing what role, at least Vorenus, I don't know about Pullo, is going to play. Antony's decided Vorenus sort of caused this whole mess. He's gonna solve it. And I'm curious to see how Vorenus sort of handles this responsibility. I mean, we remember that he's someone who tried this line of work in the past as a bodyguard, more like criminal enforcer, and he hated it, right? He wanted to live a sort of good, honest life for his family. But maybe now that his family's gone, to the best of our knowledge, he'll, you know, he'll turn on that. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see.
A monthly stipend of 5,000 denarii directly from Consul Mark Antony under my supervision. In return, he expects you will limit yourself to your traditional liberties and malpractices, nothing that will disrupt trade or politics.
Anything else?
Naturally, should there be civil violence, you and your people will be called upon to defend the rights of the consul. I require your...
Interesting. And we're seeing another look at a very real part of Roman life. Now, I think I said this a lot in Season 1, right? There's this idea that, you know, Caesar brought the end of the Republic. Partially that is true, but there's two things. One, the Republic in some form still survives. But more importantly, the Republic was frankly already a farce. There had been decades of civil violence, even preceding Caesar. Gang violence, mob violence, or maybe I should say mob violence that became gang violence, had become a common part of Roman politics. You know, the mob had been mobilized by a lot of different political factions, and now you had these sort of organized gangs, and they were, you know, if a particular faction looked after them, willing to serve as sort of foot soldiers within the city, which is, you know, supposed to be illegal. But this is how politics was operating at this point. Once again, even before Caesar, it operated through mob and gang violence. And we're getting a look at that here. Antony, you know, he doesn't want all the chaos of these gangs at each other's throats happening, but he's willing to let them operate in their normal fashion if they're willing to, 1, stop all the infighting, and 2, back him up with force when necessary.
Acknowledgement and acceptance of these terms?
5,000 denarii. It's not bad. In cash or grain?
As you like.
Are you women? One bark from this red dog and you bend your neck.
What's your name?
Gaius Ignis Acerbo, captain of the Oppian colleges. Tell us, why would sane and respectable men like ourselves do business with a poor, curse-hounded beast like you?
Gaius Ignis Acerbo.
Uh-oh.
You ask a fair question. Those of you who will not do business with me are my enemy.
And so?
They will die much sooner than they expect.
Steady on, remember blessed Concord. No ministers.
Huh.
Concord.
Oh. Oh. Vorenus has got unhinged. Definitely makes a statement, and as you can see, even Pullo is concerned. We've had a flip now, where Pullo was always the one who had no respect for tradition, was willing to do whatever it took, would worry Vorenus. Now we've got a situation where Vorenus is the unhinged one.
I am a son of Hades!
I fuck Concord in her ass!
Oh my.
The truce is raised. Brother. Acerbo, will you do business with me?
Antony, about my money.
Oh, God's beneath us.
Not now, Octavian. Has the matter moved forward at all?
Tell me, boy, if I did give you the money, what on Gaia's great arse would you do with it?
That's a complex question, but I'd certainly start by giving the plebs the money that Caesar promised them.
Then you're a fool. Basic politics, lad. Once they have the money and spend it, then they will want more money. And what are you gonna do then?
I was afraid you'd take this attitude, so I've engaged a lawyer.
A lawyer?
He can help Oscar expedite the delay in transferring the money to me.
What were you thinking, Antony's family?
He's not, actually.
All right, boy. You can tell your lawyer to shove a taper up his arse and set himself alight. You'll not get one brass obol of that money. Nothing.
Come on.
Here we go. So, there's tension here, and we're getting some of the real tension now, right? They've sort of tried to keep it, you know, below the surface, because they're supposed to be friends, family of a sort, I guess. You know, Antony and Atia have a relationship. But now that actual political disagreement is coming to the surface.
Brother, will you pass the fruit salad? See what you've done.
I'm sorry if I've disturbed your love affair. I'm merely asserting
Oh, shut up, you fool. Love affair be damned. You will apologize and promise to stop all this talk about money. Tell him that you're perfectly happy for him to administer Caesar's estate.
But I'm not happy.
What do you think I am? What choice do we have? Don't you see we're dependent on Antony now? Who will protect us if you drive him away from me? Who?
I'm perfectly capable.
Oh, please don't. Mark Antony buggers boys like you for a morning snack. You will apologize, and there's an end on it. There's not enough figs in this salad.
See, Octavian's a little more ambitious than that. Yes, he's in a dangerous situation. Mark Antony has got the upper hand, right? Octavian is the inheritor of Caesar's estate, the inheritor of Caesar's legacy, right, as his posthumously adopted son. But what does that mean if you don't control the situation? Antony has political power and military power. As we're seeing, he can block that transfer. Antony, he's got the power, the actual power, force, right here in the moment. That is true. But I think Octavian's more ambitious than that. He wants to find some way to work around this situation. Because, you know, it's not like he's got no influence, no power, no position. He's an important person. He's smart. He's got that political brain. He is the inheritor of Caesar's estate, of Caesar's name. That means something. Octavian knows it. It may not be material, but with the right political maneuvering, you can make that power material. Plus, Antony may have that physical power. He may have that political authority, but he doesn't have much of a brain for political negotiation. I think, well, I know what actually happens in the real history, but even just what we're seeing here, you gotta believe Octavian will be able to outmaneuver him, at least to a certain extent.
Why are you making all this fuss over the money? It was obvious he'd never give it to you. All you're doing is making Mother anxious.
Sister, you must promise me never to speak of what I tell you now.
Oh, God. I promise.
The Republic is on the brink of an abyss. Antony's a destructive brute. The Senate is weak and cowardly, and the plebs are roiling in want and anger. Rome is in need of new leadership. I can provide that leadership. Now, I already have several initiatives on.
I mean, this is also true. Like, Octavian was someone who believed in himself. He was very much a self-starter, which is funny to say because he had all this authority, family name behind him. But he was someone with initiative who really pushed himself forward. Because those around him, a lot of them didn't believe in him. He was a kind of frail boy. He was not, you know... Think of the men around him, Caesar, Antony. They made their name in the military. Octavian just wasn't that kind of guy. He wasn't that physically strong. He wasn't much of a soldier, right? So, I think to a lot of people, he didn't seem like much. But, he proved himself to Caesar. He proved himself to be... Despite his lack of physical prowess, like I said, he was rather sickly, and would be rather sickly throughout his life, he proved himself to be loyal, determined, and intelligent. Caesar knew that, right? That's why Caesar left everything, including his name, to Octavian. And so this is sort of broadly accurate. Octavian's someone who people tell him, stop, right? Let's just try and work with what we have. And Octavian's always the one saying, no, I can do more. And of course, in the end, he could do more, but that may not have been immediately evident.
It'll come to no good. This Hades business.
Worked though, didn't it? The bastards fell into line.
Oh, you scared the fuck out of them right enough. But that's not the point. You're no son of Hades. You're a mortal man. The gods don't like this sort of shit from mortal men.
I'm following the orders of a...
See, I'm telling you, we've got the relationship is flipped now. Pillow is more stable. For once, has a little more respect for the traditions than Vorenus. And Vorenus has gone, you know, he's gone off the edge, as you might expect from a man who loses his entire family. He said, damn it to everything. And he's going to do whatever he needs to do to achieve, I guess, whatever goal has been laid out in front of him, which in this moment has, you know, Antony's order to get this situation under control.
Consul of Rome, my master by oath, for the sake of peace and public order, for the good of the Republic. Are you with me or not?
I'm with you.
Uh-oh.
By grace of Jupiter, Gaius,
Hey!
Octavian, Caesar,
Our favorite character.
powerful son of Gaius, Julius Caesar, makes this his pledge, that he personally will fulfill the terms of his beloved father's bequest to the people. In the fields of Mars, next 9 days, all eligible citizens and soldiers will receive 300 sesterces from the hands of Octavian Caesar himself. Let it be known that Caesar's son hath sold away all his own property to honor his father's wishes. May such piety bring blessings upon him.
Octavian, lacking access to his own funds, what was rightfully his, and he basically sold what he could, took what debt he could to honor Caesar's wishes. And this is broadly true for Octavian's rise in real history as well. Octavian took on a lot of debt, a lot of favors in order to, pay the people. Because he, like Caesar, knew how important it was. Octavian, for a long time, was running on IOUs, much like Caesar, right? If you look at Caesar's career, a lot of his career was promising people things, and then essentially making more promises in order to pay off those promises. Octavian is very much stepping into Caesar's shoes in that respect.
What have you done?
Wake up. Wake up at once. What is the meaning of this? The money! You're giving the plebs their money!
Is it so late already? I've overslept.
I don't care. What about the money?
I've promised it. I'm sorry I didn't tell you before now. I mean, you object. I've decided to enter public life. This seemed the best way to introduce myself to the people.
That will be seen as a direct challenge to me.
It is.
Yes, but that isn't my intention at all. I suggest we make a public display of unity to quash such notions.
A public display of unity?
It makes sense. Our interests are conjoined. While you are consul, my name will lend weight to yours. And when your consulship is over, and you retire from politics, as you have promised, I will step in as leader of the Caesarian party.
I see.
You will need protection from your enemies in the Senate. And I can provide that.
Who the fuck do you think you are?
I'm Caesar's rightful heir.
Just stay calm. He doesn't have the money, so he can't give it away, can he? This is all just childish talk.
The money is legally mine. I was able to borrow against it.
I told you. What did I say? He took on a lot of debt. That debt will be a problem, but he took it on because he knew he had to do this.
Borrow?
Borrow.
How much did you borrow?
It's not so much in the great scheme of things.
How much?
3 million sestertii.
Arjunos! Cunt!
And you see also, now he's... I love it. I love it. I said earlier this episode, I want to see more of Octavian's political maneuvering, and we're getting it. I love this stuff. So, he realizes, just as Caesar did, how important it is to make this gesture. He's doing it, whatever it takes. Simultaneously, he's putting Antony in a really tough situation, right? He's only done this because Antony won't release the money. Now he's borrowed all this money. That's not good. And him and Antony are supposed to be allies, right? He's causing all these problems for their faction while elevating his own name, right? That's what Octavian is doing here. So it's a pretty brilliant move that I love how, much he's underplaying it here, understating it. He's creating a big problem for, I don't want to overstate it, right? It's not like a gigantic problem for Antony, but because Antony wants to keep Octavian in line, this is a big problem for Antony, right? Antony's going to have to work out how to deal with this. It's great.
Stupid boy.
if you kill him, right, and this is the thing, obviously Octavian's still young, physically, as I've said, not impressive, never will be, but you can't, what are you going to do to him, right? This is so much more, this situation is so much broader politically. You can't beat him or kill him here, right? You can't just take him out. Everything will crumble, right? Antony will lose his allies, and of course his enemies will be even angrier. The city will be in uproar, civil war, you'll be done, right? It's just, yeah, there's so much at play.
You stupid little shit!
Fucking whore.
Apologize! Apologize!
That's it, now just leave it now!
Apologize!
Enough.
Oh my god.
Stop it! Antony, leave him! Antony, leave him, leave him, leave him! Look at me! Look at me! Look at me!
You're gonna be in trouble if you kill him, Antony. Big trouble.
Juno's mercy! What's the matter with you?
You're lucky you're breathing. Do you hear me, boy?
Come on!
You're lucky you're breathing!
Animal! You're not fit to leave Rome!
Holy shit! That was good. Holy fuck! That was good. Oh my god. Octavian, you're gonna need to get some more protection now, right? Because, okay, I need to bring it down. That was incredible. That was great. There's been so much tension all episode. It just exploded, right? Octavian with that public move, he brought everything out into the open. The tension just exploded right there. They're gonna have a hard time having that cordial relationship from now on. Octavian, you're gonna need protection, my man, but he's asserted himself. That puts Octavian in a lot of danger. He was already a threat to Antony. He's now made himself a public and open threat in a way that he wasn't before. He's in danger, but Octavian's ambitious. This is his opportunity to keep on moving up. Now, the thing is, and like I said, this is true for the real history as well. If you didn't know what was going to happen from this point onwards, you'd probably look at Octavian and say, yeah, you're ambitious, I appreciate that, but you're screwed. You're never going to make it. You don't have the people, you don't have the resources, you just don't have it. But we know that he is going to make it, right? And so that's why I'm so fascinated to see the rest of this season, to see how they depict Octavian managing to navigate all these obstacles.
Brother Mascius.
Ah.
Pullo, you black dog. You still alive?
You come to join up, then?
I heard you were hiring.
Oh. I thought you were well set, farm and all.
Crooked dice done for that.
Shame.
What can you do? Didn't like farming much anyway.
Be sure about this, brother. It's a dark road we're on. No one knows where it'll lead.
All roads lead to the same place, don't they?
That they do. Glad to have you with us. Come through the back and say hello to Vorenus. Cheer up the old bastard.
Is it true what they say that? About a wife and children?
True enough. Not a fucking word.
Yeah.
Brother Vorenus.
Mascius, how are you?
I'm fair. Fair.
Come to join our merry band.
You tried to warn him off, did you?
I did.
This isn't the army, brother. We here, we're pimps, knifemen, thieves. You sure you sunk so low?
I walked here from Capua. I slept in ditches. When I get here, I hear people talking. They say a black-hearted villain has taken over the Aventine College. He's in league with the gods below, they say. And his name is Lucius Vorenus. Well, I thought to myself, Mascius, old boy, your luck has changed.
See, Pullo, I told you I know what I'm about.
It's not right. Gods don't like it.
What more can the gods do to me? How can they punish me now?
Don't know. Don't want to find out.
Fair.
Have you heard the good?
I'm worried about Vorenus. I don't, maybe this is his new path. He seems a bit like a man who's lost his way and has tried to find it in some rather dark places. I guess we'll see what happens with that. Pullo, it's remarkable to me how Pullo has become such a stabilizing force in his life. Pullo was such a scoundrel when the show began. I mean, we've loved him from the beginning, Although, I mean, he's done some bad stuff. Both of them have. But Pullo's become such a stabilizing force. He's trying to right the path that Vorenus is on, which is exceptional. The situation, the script is flipped.
News.
I have.
This is the beginning of the end for them.
From your lips to the ears of the gods.
What
A
news?
fool like Antony was sure to blunder. They'll fight among themselves and they'll destroy each other.
I doubt the boy will be more than a nuisance to Antony. He cannot hope to...
Right, that is the opinion at that moment. Octavian, he'll be a nuisance to Antony. He can't possibly rival him. And, like I said, you'd be fair to think that, right? The evidence points towards that. But we know Octavian, he's a lot more than a nuisance.
To rival him.
Caesar did not choose the boy on a whim.
That's true.
He'll surprise you, I think.
We can hope.
That is true.
The Senate should...
I mean, that is the biggest thing Octavian has going in his favor is that, Caesar didn't choose him for no reason. Now, maybe you could say, well, he's a blood relative, that's why he was chosen. Of course. But Caesar, he did things with a purpose, right? I don't think... If Octavian was totally talentless, I really don't think Caesar would have gone with him as, his heir, essentially. I think he would have worked something else out. Maybe not, I don't know. But to my understanding, Octavian really had to prove himself to Caesar before Caesar let him in, real history. And so, Caesar, nominating him like this, appointing him to take his name, his legacy, that's a real vote of confidence, and that means something. We know Julius Caesar, that means something.
Ask my son to return. The time is right.
Brutus, return. No. Not yet. Not quite yet, I think.
When?
We must wait and see how things develop.
Wait and see.
Well, that's basically going to be Cicero's answer to any question. Should we do it now? Well, let's wait and see.
A noble strategy.
Not noble, perhaps, but sensible. In any case, tell your son that I... No. Not I. His friends in Rome look forward to seeing him again at some point in the near future.
I will tell him.
Displease Servilia. It's not so simple.
My dear mother, I write to bid you farewell. I'm very sorry you chose to act as you did. I hope in time you will understand the gravity of your mistake. Be assured, I am as determined as ever to pursue a political career. Do not be concerned for my safety. I'm on the road south to Campania, where I'll stay with my friend Agrippa.
Oh, are we going to meet Agrippa? Okay, this is great. This is the events didn't exactly go like this, but it's a TV show, right? They're trying to fit a lot into a certain number of episodes. I can accept that. I'm more excited to see Agrippa, because for this next chapter of Octavian's life, Agrippa is probably the number one most important person. He is Octavian's partner in crime. They really complement each other well. Everything Octavian can't do, Agrippa does. So, I don't know how the show's going to play out, but Agrippa should be one of the most important characters that we're going to meet. And I hope that he does play a big role. Because there have been some pretty important characters that have been left out, like Lepidus. I don't know if Lepidus is going to show up in this season, but Lepidus is one of the most important people in Rome at this moment. When we talk about the Caesarian faction, when we're talking about the actual history at this time, your three main figures are Mark Antony, Lepidus, and Octavian. In the end, Lepidus plays, third place, a far third place, but early on, he's a pretty important figure. But, he hasn't played a role in this show. So I'm excited we're bringing in Agrippa.
He was well established then. I remain your respectful son, Octavian.
And of course, it's worth pointing out that, I say, Octavian's named in Caesar's will. Octavian also adopts Caesar's name. The whole Gaius Julius Caesar. Now, eventually, we will know Octavian as Augustus. Though, I don't know exactly what Octavian went by in his day-to-day life. Maybe someone can tell me down below. But Octavian, publicly was using his uncle, his adopted father's name, right? As a very public symbol that he was the inheritor of his legacy. Oh, I knew they weren't dead. I knew it. I just knew it. Unless they show you something, it didn't happen. Not always, but something as important as Vorenus' whole family being wiped out, I knew they had to still be alive. Alright. That is the end of episode 2. That was another great one. I don't really have much more to add. I think I said everything I wanted to during the episode. Another fantastic one. I love that political maneuvering, the tension. Got Mark Antony and Octavian now publicly vying for this political position. And maybe their infighting gives the opposition a chance. Brutus, Cassius are still away from the city, but Cicero is there. He is sort of leader of the Senate, essentially. He's used often as a surrogate for the Senate, both in real life and our depictions of this history and in this show. So there's a lot of factions at play, and they're vying to control, the city of Rome and the Republic at large. It's not much of a republic anymore, but whatever. So yeah, not to mention all the developments with Pullo and Vorenus, we find out that Vorenus' children are still alive. I knew it. There's a lot of stuff happening. A great episode. I'm excited for the next one. Once again, if you're watching on Patreon, thank you so much for all the support. I really appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, click on the Patreon links down below, and you'll get access to full unedited episodes early. So with all of that out of the way, I hope you guys are all having a good day today, and I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.